you get logged in to the system, I logged in with keys. I had a passphrase. It already asked me what my passphrase was. So once you get logged into the remote system, you're presented with a view that looks like this. This is your shell interface. It's your terminal interface, your command prompt interface. The shell is basically your command interpreter. It is your interface between what you want to do and the operating system. So you enter your commands here and the operating system executes them for you. So the syntax of the commands, you normally have the command itself, and then you can have any number of options, and then you can have any number of arguments. So for example, two commands you'll be using as you are navigating around the command line are ls to list information about the files in the directories, and cd to change directories. So you can run the command by itself like this. Ls will run the command. It'll list the files in that directory. It should be noted that Linux and Unix are case sensitive, so everything must be in the proper case. You type capital Ls, it's going to say command not found, because capital Ls is entirely different than lowercase ls. Capital L, lowercase s, also not a command that you're going to be running on a Linux system. So Linux and Unix case sensitive. For that case, for the most part, everything is in lowercase all the time. So as I said, you have the command, options, and arguments. So in this case, the command is ls. An option you could use with that would be -l. This is the command with an option, ls-l. -l says show me the long listing. The long listing will display the permissions, which we'll talk about later, the owner, the group, modified time, and the file name. So that will show you that. Another option would be -a. In Linux and Unix, any file or directory that starts with a dot, which will be a period, is hidden. So in this case, I did ls-a. You see more files than you did when I just did ls, right? Because the ls-a shows the hidden files. You can. That was an example of showing options. You can also put arguments. An argument is something that the command acts on. So in this case, I was just saying ls, and it was acting on the current directory because I did not specify a directory that I wanted to get a listing of. So if I wanted to specify the directory I wanted a listing of, I can do ls, and then I can specify the directory. In the Linux file system, the slash here is called the root, and that is the top level of the file system. So if I do ls/, that shows me a list of everything that exists in the root directory of this file system. You can also combine options and arguments. I can say ls-la/, that will do a long listing of the root directory and will show me all the files. So if there were any hidden files, it would have showed them as well. In this case, the only hidden file I have is an auto fsck file. So that's ls. As you get more familiar with using Linux and Unix, you'll come up with a default command you use all the time for certain things. Like for me, I always type ls-lart. Just if I type ls and I want a long listing, most of the time that's what I type by default. If you notice, the sort order on this is in alphabetical order, right? So what I have told it to do with this ls-lart is I said I want a long listing, the L. I want to see all files, the A. I want you to reverse sort those files. That's what the R does. And I want you to sort by time for the T. So what that's going to do is that's actually going to put the most recently modified file at the bottom of the listing. So if you look at this, I had some files modified January 1st, and that put those files at the bottom of the listing. Say, big deal, what's the matter? Well, if you are modifying files, or if you download a file from the internet, or whatever it is you're doing, chances are if you're looking for files, you're looking for the file that was modified the most recently. That makes it easy for you to find. CD command allows you to change directories. We'll talk about that in a second. But I'm going to this. I'm not going to that directory. I'm going to the log directory, hopefully, to show you an example. If you're looking at logs, you want to look at the log files that were most recently updated, right? So if you look at these log files, I have some old log files. I have a messages file. That's where error messages get and other messages get written to. I have a mail log. I have a secure log. I have a cron log. These logs are old. So if I was looking for information about the system, I would want to know which files had the most recent information in them. So that's another case where the LART is helpful. You may be asking yourself, hey, Rich, I thought you said we could use arguments to specify things. Why did you do a CD to that directory and then do a LS? I did that because it's just an old habit. Chances are, most of the time, if I do a LS to look at files, I'm going to want to view one of the files. So if I was still back wherever I was at, assume I was in the root directory, I can't remember where I was at. So if I did a ls-lart/log to find the file I wanted, then if I wanted to look at it, I would have to type in the full path again and then the file name. So basically, if I know I'm looking at files, chances are I'm going to want to view it when I'm done. So I just go ahead and change directories to that file. Permission denied because I am a regular user. If you look at the messages file here, the permissions, I don't have permission to read that file. We'll talk about those later on in the semester. So that was LS. You use LS a lot to find files, look for things. Another command we probably should talk about, CD, change directory. I just used it. If you type CD with no arguments, it puts you in your home directory, my home directory, /home/my sudo hack ID. Hey, I didn't want to do that. That was pretty cool though. If you want to change directories to a specific location, you can specify that. Say I wanted to go to /, say I want to go to Etsy. Oh, a web server is not installed on this machine, that's why it's not working. So I'm going to go to the Etsy directory, I can type Etsy. If I want to get back to my home directory, I can do that. So there I'm in my home directory.